There really are no words, not in English, that are adequate to describe the ascension of Pete Hegseth to be the United States Secretary of Defense, to be atop the chain of command of 5,000 plus nuclear warheads, the ballistic missile submarines, the captains and the crews, the strategic bombers, the United States Marine Corps and the Army and the Navy and the Coast Guard and the Space Force. This is the warning. This is a moment of deep, deep shame and dishonor, and yes, collapse. The founders of this country envisioned that the Congress, a bicameral legislature made up of two houses, upper and lower, one, representatives of the people, the House of Representatives, the other, the United States Senate, to whom was given the responsibility of advising and giving their consent on the president's nominations, not as a subordinate branch of government, but a co-equal branch of government. Not so long ago, the United States Senate was known and admired all over the world as its greatest deliberative body. Think about that. And then watch this clown from Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin.
The senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because a man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke.
He's a case study. Watch him talk about Matt Gaetz before Donald Trump laid his magic hand on him.
You got to think about this guy. This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night.
And after.
We've already heard from the lawyer, from some of the people who did testify to the House Ethics Committee, that he had a client who testified that she had not only seen him pay for sex with women, but also engage in sex with a 17-year-old woman at a drug-fueled party. Is that something that concerns you?
Well, if it is true, and I mean it, I got to say that, if that is true.
Are you disturbed by it? Do you think it's funny? Or can you comprehend that it's the preface to catastrophe? It's the preface to the Pete Hegseth era. Department of Defense is a $1 trillion government agency. The man who is likely to lead it is unfit. He is the exact type of person we spend billions in this country trying to keep the officers of our armed forces from becoming. He is the case study for the lack of character, judgment, probity, and rectitude that cadets study. Pete Hegseth is a moral disaster as a leader for the armed forces of the United States. Pete Hegseth showed pre-confirmation, pre-installment, pre-power, his sneering, abject contempt for America's democracy, for the United States senators. What we witnessed yesterday was the abandonment of a central tenet of the American democracy, most spectacularly in the form of Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst claims herself to be a sexual assault survivor and a combat veteran. Maybe so, but let's be clear. There will be more rapes in the military, and there are too many already. Joni Ernst does not care about them. She gives absolutely zero, and I mean zero. Joni Ernst cares about one thing: Donald Trump and being in his favor, because Joni Ernst likes being told what to do, apparently, not exercising independent judgment or thought. A woman who was elected in part on the basis of her service as a National Guard lieutenant colonel, a combat veteran, would dare to vote for Pete Hegseth to lead the American military? It can be said at the instant the vote is made to confirm this low man that the republic has fallen, because the United States Senate has subordinated itself, stripped itself of power, has prostrated itself, laid down, and done nothing to exercise the constitutional power it has to prevent the catastrophe that Pete Hegseth will augur. And let's understand, it is not just the perfidy of the MAGA senators, the abject stupidity, the imbecility of the apologists for the indefensible. It is beyond that. It is the utter fecklessness of the Chuck Schumer Democratic Senate. What is the plan to stop this, Chuck? The answer is, like always, there is none. Empty postures and hollow words from a silly man leading a political party broken and corrupt enough that the American people chose this over them. And many of them believe they ran a flawless campaign. There are no words. This is a moment of grave danger for this country. What happened in November is coming due. The inauguration is here, and it will be appalling. There is nothing standing in Donald Trump's way except the courts of law, Democratic governors, state legislatures, and the most powerful interest group and force in the country, which is the American people, who are historically slow to rise in anger. But they do rise in anger. The anger of the American people helped put Donald Trump back in power. And I fear we will pay for it, a very high price. Pete Hegseth isn't defense secretary yet, but it looks like soon he will be. And when he becomes the most powerful defense minister in the world, it is right that you should feel a cold chill down your spine, because you have been left unprotected by America's political leaders who would dare vote yes for this buffoon. They have a responsibility to America's fighting men and women, and they utterly, completely, absolutely abandon it for politics. Pete Hegseth is unfit. He is a moral and ethical Chernobyl. He would be carried off of the bridge of a ballistic missile submarine if he were the captain in a straitjacket. His drinking is disqualifying. His conduct is disqualifying. His judgment is disqualifying. His recklessness is disqualifying. His abject imbecility is disqualifying. His white nationalist tattoos are disqualifying. He's the most unfit and unqualified person ever to be nominated for a position of power in the United States defense establishment since its reorganization and establishment in 1947. Appalling, disgraceful, dishonorable. There are no words. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.